I sure am missing all of our first graders today, so I want to say good morning to Elias and Lamisha, and hi to Zafara and Javante. Good morning, John Michael. Hi, Paul. Hi, Petra. Hi, Gloria. I hope you guys are doing great. We are going to do this morning our week 4 packet. So we will get started just like we always do, where I hold up the page so you can see it before we talk about it. Whoops, I bumped my table. So this is what we're talking about here, week 4, and that is from April 13th through the 17th. On this front page, just like usual, it gives you some expectations and some tools to use while you do your work. This is page 2 here. It says adding with pictures sums to 30. So you've done something really similar where we added numbers up to 20. And so now we're going to go all the way up to 30. And if you want to, you can just count your objects and write the number in the box. The total of all the objects is called the sum when we're adding. And so your sum or your answer is going to go into these boxes. But I noticed something about this particular sheet, this page, that I think is going to help us out. Okay? All of our objects are grouped in groups no more than 5 across. And so what that reminded me of is our 10 frame, okay? Back here, where there are groups of 5 in 2 rows. So I know if the top row is filled, it's 5. I don't even have to count it, I just know it's 5. If both rows, 2 rows are filled, I know that 5 and 5 make 10. So every time I have 2 rows, I can just look at it and know that there are 10. So let's put that into our mind. The 1 row is going to be 5, and 2 rows together will always be 10. And because our pictures are arranged in those same kind of groups, I'm going to use that so that I don't have to count every single one, right? I could look at this one and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but why bother? If it's a whole row, I can see that it's 5, okay? I can see that this is 5, 6, 7, and then when I look at this one, I see it's not a whole row, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? So I saved myself from counting these 5 by saying 5, 6, 7 in this group, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? Because I can count my objects in any order I want. So that saved me one step to think that that one full row is 5. However, I have another trick. It's not even a trick, it's just a strategy. Because I'm thinking of this like my 10 frame, and this is 5 and 2 more to make 7, what if I could move some objects from my first group to fill in this 10 frame? Well, then I could just look at it and know that it's 10. So if I thought the spaces I have here are 1, 2, 3 spaces. So what if I took 1, 2, 3 hearts and filled them in over here? Now, I don't have to be a great artist. I just need to represent the 3 hearts I'm moving. So I can just say, boop, boop, boop. I've put them in over there. Now look, I took some from this side to make this a full group of 10. Now I can just look at it and say 10. And I have 1 left over here that I didn't move. 10 and 1 more makes 11. It's just like our teen boards. 1 group of 10 and 1 more unit makes 11. Let's see if I can use that same fill-in strategy on problem number 2. Now look at this. I can see already that this one right here is a whole 10 frame. It has 2 rows, 5 in each row, which I can see because I've got a 2 groups to 2 groups 3. There's 5 in each row. This is already a 10 frame up here on top. Okay. And I can see that this one is also 5 already. Well, I can use my counting by 5. 10 and 5 more is 15. 10 and 5 more is 15. I didn't even have to count those. I didn't touch each one. I just looked at them and I could see using my 10 frame strategy that these 2 groups together make 15. Now, do I still have some smiley faces hanging out down here? Yes, I better count those too. 15, then I'll just count single smiley faces. 16, 17, 18, 19. Altogether, 19. But I only had to count those 4 little loners that didn't fit into my 10 frame. Okay, let's look at even one more down here that's similar. So I'm skipping number 3 for now. It's very similar to number 2. And I'm going to go to number 4 just as another example. And then I'll let you guys finish the rest on your own using my strategy or whatever works best for you. Just looking again. Just looking. Remember, we already said when we looked over them that a lot of them are grouped already. They're all grouped into 5 columns. Okay, they're all set up like our 10 frame. So just looking, I can see in the first part of my groups, I have a group of 5. It's half of a 10 frame. So I know that it's 5. I'll just put a little box around it. Okay, remember we're working here on number 4. And then I look at my second half and I can see I've got a double row. How much is that again? 10. Anytime I have 2 full rows in my 10 frame, it's going to be 10. Okay. Now, yes, I could count that as 15 and then count all my little flowers down below. But what I see here is I have one open space here, and that if I can fill that space, I would make a whole nother row of 5. So what if I take one of these flowers from this side in my mind and I move it to fill in here, okay? Well, if I can put that flower over there, then look at that. I have another row of 5 that I don't have to count. Let's use my counting by 5. So I'll say 10 because I have 10. 10 and 5 more is 15. And 5 more, 5, 10, 15, 20. So that, or I could say, here's one group of 10, and those 2 together make another group of 10. So that's 20. And then I only have 1 flower left here because remember, I moved this one over. I moved that one to the other group. So I only have 1 flower. 10, 15, 20, 21. 21. And once it seems like kind of a lot of work to think about those groups, but let's think about how much more to say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, 21. You can count every single flower if you want to, and that helped me to check my work and to know for sure that I'm on the right track. But if you can visually look and see your groups of 5 and your groups of 10, then you're going to go through here just a little bit faster. Okay? So I'll let you work on the rest of this page, adding with pictures sums to 30. But really what we want to be doing in our minds is making our pictures in our mind, grouping our numbers into groups of 5 and 10 so that we can see them right away. Your next page this week is counting money, pennies and dimes only. This is so exciting. You guys have been matching up different values of coins, figuring out what the coins are worth. And here we're going to add some together. So you're pretending like you pulled this out of your pocket and you have some pennies and some dimes. And you're going to find out how much money do you have. Now, the great thing about pennies and dimes, okay, is that they are just like our golden bead, tens and units, or our stamp game, tens and ones. It is so fantastic and fun and easy to add with pennies and dimes. So let's think about, if it was me, I'd put them on the other side. So I would say every dime, okay, that's this guy right here, is worth, do you remember? 10 cents, okay? So every dime, it is worth, I'm going to write it right on here, it's worth 10 cents, okay? But it is just like having a quick 10, okay? So thinking about your golden bead material or even your stamp game, it's like having a 10. And every penny is worth one, I'm going to write it right on here too, 1 cent. It actually says it right down here, 1 cent on the back of the penny. It's like having 1 cent. And so that is like having a little unit. Can you guys see Miss Camille's little unit? Boop, right there. Okay, so if I gathered up, remember when you gather up your items, and I will refer back here to our 10 frame, the units are always on the rightmost side, and the tens are on the left of them, okay? So you can think about your 10 frame, and I can think about putting all of my dimes into my 10 frame. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to collect them up. I've got 1 10 here, and 1 10 here, and 1 10 here. How many tens is that? You guys have been working on this. That is 3 tens. So I'm going to write that down first. 3 tens, right? Boop, boop, boop. 3 quick tens. And then I'm going to find my units. Pennies are units. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I've got 3 units as well, so I write those next. Boom, boom, boop, boop, boop. Okay. I had 3 tens and 3 units, so altogether I have 33 cents. Okay, so that's thinking about my dimes and my pennies as tens and units. If you're very comfortable, you can also count starting with tens and then count on your units. So let's find a really good one for that. Let's just actually skip down and do this bottom one down here together. And then you can do all the rest of these in between with your own strategies. Okay, so if I was going to just count by tens, remember I could still use my tens and units to represent them. That's fine. But if I want to think about just counting mentally, I'm going to count all of my tens first. And so I don't lose track, I'm going to put a little mark on them. With my pen, you could use your pencil when I count them so that I don't accidentally count something more than once, because that would give me the wrong number. So starting with my tens, I'm going to say 10, 20, 30. Oh, this is just like doing calendar. And then I'm going to count on my units. I'm switching over to the green sticks. I'm switching over to my units. I said 10, 20, 30, 31, 32. Oh, 32. Okay. Now there is something that Miss Camille has forgotten in my first answer and my very last answer, because we are talking about money. We are talking about coins. So when I counted to 32, did I count 32 beach balls? Did I count 32 pairs of shoes? Absolutely not. What I have here is a value of 32 cents. So you can write the word cents, or we can put our symbol here, which is a C with some lines through it. 32 cents. Okay, and I better come back and mark. This first one was 33 cents. Okay, so 2 different methods for counting your money this week. That's so exciting. We'll be adding coins. adding with number lines. Solve the following, that means those problems that come after it, by drawing hops on the number line. Okay, hops on the number line. Because this is all adding, let's think for a minute. When I add, is my number going to get bigger or smaller? When I put amounts together, my number, my final amount, always gets bigger. When I'm adding in first grade, my number always, always, always gets bigger. So I can look at my number line, and it starts with a 0 at this end. And as I move this way, it counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I know, even though I have arrows in 2 directions, since I'm adding today, I will always be jumping up the number line towards the bigger numbers. Okay, so I'm looking at my example, and they have you starting at the 0 every time. Okay, so we're going to start at the 0, okay, with your pencil, and I'm going to jump the number, the very first number. So here it's a number 1. So I'm going to jump to the first number. Boom. There I am at number 1. Okay, I went there, and I had to go forward up the number line. It wants me to put on 5 more hops. Okay, 1 plus 5, I'm adding, I'm going to move up the number line 5 hops. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can land that last one right there. And what is the answer on this number line? We've landed at number 6. 1 plus 5 is 6. And I'm going to write that right there in the box. Now, some of you guys might have looked at the problem 1 plus 5 and thought, well, I know that already. I know that it's 6. What we're practicing on this sheet is how to use the number line. So please make sure you're modeling. Even if you know the right answer, that's great. That way you know if you did the model right because you landed at the answer you already expected. Okay, so it's fine to already know the answer. The point of this paper is not necessarily to find the answer as much as it is to learn how to use the number line. So I want to see a hop for the first number and then hops for the second number and landing with a circle at the total answer. Okay, I'm going to start. There aren't very many problems on this page, so I want to give you enough chance to practice, but I want to just look a little closer at the example that they give you here, because I want you to notice that their first number was 6. Okay, their first number was 6. They did not have to count 6 hops for the first number. The first thing they did was start at 0 and hopped just to the first number, whoops, number 6. Okay, you can look at it a little bit closer on your paper as well. They didn't have to count 6 hops. They just could see that first number 6 and they jumped all the way there. Then how many hops? 1 more hop. Boom, put them to number 7 for their answer. Okay, so down here where your first number is 2, a couple of times, you don't have to hop 2 hops. You can just jump whoop, right to the number 2 because you know where you're going to land for the first number. Okay, adding with number lines. Okay, we are coming down to the end of our packet. I have loved working with you guys today. Let's look here As we come down to the end, again, we have an ELA assignment at the top of this page. Also, social studies and art are on this same page. So let me get my blocker folder here, and we will talk first about the ELA. Okay. The ELA assignment up here is your reading, writing, and language. So the directions say, read the passage and answer questions. That's what we were going to do. And then there's the title, Who Fell into the Well? Okay, so Miss Camille's going to read it. I'm going to start with the title. I'll read that one more time. So you can put your finger right here on this word. Okay, and I will read this out loud, follow along, and then work on the questions. You can pause and read it to yourself or to a grown-up or someone else in the room, and then come back and start again for the questions. Who fell into the well? I have a well I want to sell. There was no way people could fall into the well. The lid on the well fell. The people on the lid fell. All the people fell into the well. I rang the fire bell. I had to tell the firemen about the people who fell into the well. The firemen could help. They helped the people get out of the well. Now I want to sell the well. While I was reading, I noticed a couple of things about this passage. One, it has a focus sound, just like usual. Who fell into the well? I'm hearing that L sound over and over and over again. If I look at one of those words, L, L, E, L, L is making an L sound. And I can see a bunch of words. Let's find a couple now. Fell, well. Can you find any more? Sell, bell. I found a bunch of them. Go ahead and look through a little bit and see what other, if you can find any more words with your focus sound. The second thing I noticed about this story is that it says I again, similar to the last story that we just read. So the I that is talking and telling the story is supposed to be you. It's from your first person perspective. So we're pretending like we're going to put ourselves into the story, and you're saying, I have a well I want to sell. Okay, so as we answer our questions, keep those two things in mind. Let's look at question number 1. Question number 1, where did the people fall? Okay, now this is where did the people fall, and you're probably going to answer that question in the past tense. You're going to start it with the people fell. Okay, you can make sure to look right back into your story for anything you need to spell. Oh, another ELL word. Number 2, who did you tell? Now remember, this is the you in the story. So it says, who did you tell? They could have asked, who did I tell? But it's who did you tell? So you're going to say, you're going to look for it where it said, I had to tell, and find the answer to who did you tell. Remember, we're pretending like we're the ones talking since it uses the I words to tell the story. And number 3, what do you want to sell? Okay, so kind of some disasters happen. You gotta get rid of this thing. What is it that you want to sell? So answer your 3 questions. Remember, try to put those into whole sentences. I want to sell. Okay. We can review the social studies assignment. It is the exact same as last week. And remember, last week we decided, sounded like you could pick either one, but they probably needed you to do box number 1 first. So let's remind ourselves. Box number 1 says, create a business you could invent to make money, to pay for the items you need. Draw a picture of your business and be sure to color it and make it pretty. So that was box number 1. Hopefully you did that last week, because box number 2 on social studies says, go back to your business picture. So hopefully you have that from last week. Go back to your business picture. Underneath it, write a sentence about how much money you think your business will make and why. That's a very, very important part of it. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I think my business is going to make $100 bajillion. You need to say why. Why do you think it was such a good idea? Or why do you think people will want it? Or why would people pay for the item you invented? Okay. So hopefully you are there on box 2 for your social studies this week. At the very bottom of this same page is fine arts. It starts with music. I will read the music directions to you. So it says general music, directions. Find that word directions. Read through the small paragraph about music and celebrations. Then use your own experiences to answer the questions. It means I'm going to think about making connections to myself while I listen to this passage. So I will read this small paragraph. That's what they're talking about. I'm going to read that out loud right now. Music is used to help celebrate all kinds of special occasions around the world. Think about the last time one of your family or friends celebrated a birthday. You probably sang to the special person. Maybe you have specific religious beliefs and you use music to help in your form of worship. No matter what way music is involved in your life, it is most likely during special moments. Consider the photos below and what they might be celebrating. Okay, so it's given me some directions to look at some pictures, but first I'm going to make sure that I'm thinking about the passage and I'm making connections to myself about how music helps or happens during special moments in my life. When I'm ready, I am going to turn the page over and look at those pictures they were talking about. Okay, so now I'm going to continue reading here. I'm going to take a moment to look at the pictures. And I'm going to continue reading underneath. The first picture is an Irish-based holiday, called St. Patrick's Day. We just had St. Patrick's Day in March. The center photo is a mariachi band in Mexico, possibly celebrating Cinco de Mayo, which is coming up. It means the 5th of May, or Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead, which usually happens in November. So this is a mariachi band, could be celebrating either one of those holidays. Okay. A little hint, Dia de los Muertos, if you saw the movie Coco, they were celebrating that in there too. And so you might recognize, make a connection and recognize musicians like that. The last picture is a Christmas celebration. I am pretty sure that female singer's name is Mariah Carey, and she has one of the most famous Christmas songs of all time. I bet you have heard it before. So there are some familiar pictures, okay? You might celebrate all of these things. These holidays, you might not celebrate any of these things. But these are things that we know about and some people in our world and in our community do celebrate. So try to think about a time that you might have been aware of those, or what in your life, if you don't celebrate any of these, another way that music is important to you. And after you've thought about that, you're going to answer the question in the box that says, What ways do you use music to celebrate? So we've got the birthday, we've got these holidays. They mentioned maybe religious celebrations if you're a member of a community or a church. And so what ways do you use music to celebrate in your life? And what songs do you sing? Okay, so that's two questions so far. And what makes them so special? So it's kind of three parts here. What ways do you use music to celebrate? Try to think of at least one. What kind of songs do you sing? Now, it might be something just instrumental or musical, but what makes it so special? So there's some thinking about music in your life, special occasion music today. The final part of your packet this week, whoops, you know what? Go ahead and shine bright, is down here, the visual arts part. If you are looking at this digitally, you can click on that link. It'll take you to different directions. Otherwise, I will read the directions to you. Your task, that means your job to do. Using pencils, markers, and or crayons, draw a plan for a playground. This is so exciting, first graders. I cannot wait to see what kind of awesome playground you are going to design. Make sure your plan has at least 5 pieces of playground equipment in it. That is the entirety of the assignment. So you get to design your own playground, spend some time on it, color, think about how would children really use this playground. This is art assignment, but also it works really well with all of your map making skills that you had been developing or looking at, thinking about your compass rose, thinking about making a model. So you can bring a lot of skills into this art project. How do I know if my work is good? Is your design interesting? Is this a playground you would want to play on? And does it have at least 5 things that children can play on? So make sure it has all of those elements, and then you will know your work is good. If you want to send Miss Camille a picture of your playground assignment, I would love it because I am really excited to see how creative you can be. So I hope you guys are having a great week, and I appreciate all of your hard work. Can't wait to see you soon. Bye, first graders.